Hello, my fellow humans. So, today I'm gonna do something new and I'm gonna make a training on coming out of the victim consciousness. And I have to admit, I'm still on the way myself, and also this training is probably gonna be a little bit different than what you may be used to, because I found out in a lot of personal development circles and spiritual circles, the victim can have such a bad reputation. Like, you're playing a victim, get out of your victim consciousness and start doing things. And what I want to bring in here is the deep unmet needs below this victim consciousness and how to meet those needs so that you can go from the victim to the sovereign being of your life, to the king or queen of your life in the most beautiful way, king consciousness, where you respect yourself and respect others and live according to your highest values and honor your worth, your word and your worth. Okay, let's take a few deep breaths, and if you can hear some other breathing as well, that's my dog who is sleeping here next to me. So let's take a few deep breaths. Breathe in through the nose if it feels good. And sigh. So, for the beginning, think of someone who you judge, someone else, not you, someone else who you may judge and who you feel like they are playing the victim. I'm gonna give a personal example. It's gonna be easier this way, perhaps. So, I had a friend, and we, like, in the friend group, we used to listen to her a lot. She was explaining a lot of things about her life, what is going on. There was a lot of drama in her family, and we were listening to her quite a lot. And I know that at some point I was sharing more about things and how you can help yourself, etc. And at some point she said to me, most of the time she was talking and then I was talking, and she said to me, "You're always just talking." And I was so confused, like, hey, we were listening. I actually didn't say it to her. I was so shocked. I was so confused, like, we are listening to you all the time and now I get to speak and you are like so quickly fed up and you say to me, you are only speaking all the time. And then there was one other event where she said, "No one ever listens to me." And I was like, again, like what? In myself, like, we are listening to you all the time. In fact, it happened quite often in our relationship that I was listening to her, but then when I started speaking, I could notice her, like when you can hear that your words don't land because someone does not reciprocate in the conversation when you're speaking. And I could sense so many times that she started thinking about other things, so she was not actually listening to me. But I also realized when she said no one ever listens to me, that this is her core wound. That, and I know from her, from all the things that she told me, that she had a really hard upbringing, really hard childhood, in which this was true. So there were actual experiences in her life that made her believe that no one ever listens to her. And this belief became so deeply ingrained through repetitions, where people in her family were not listening to her, that it became one of her core beliefs from which she was running her life. And then, even when people were actually listening to her, when people were listening to her a lot, she couldn't see it, she couldn't appreciate it, she couldn't really let it in, because she was so deep in this trauma of people not listening to her. And you perhaps came up now with an example yourself of someone in your life who feels to you like they are playing the victim. And let's take a breath and imagine this person in your mind's eye. And look at them. See them. Hear them. And ask yourself, what is the unmet need under their behavior? And now imagine, how would their life be different? How would they behave differently if that need of theirs was met throughout their childhood, throughout their life? If they were seen as important, if their parents tell them they matter, if they would be praised for their achievements, if they were told that they are beautiful, that they are doing a good job, if they were told that they deserve good things in life. If throughout all their life they were told good things about themselves. Of course, we go all through different experiences, but what if they got, for every criticism, what if they got nine compliments? So imagine them. I'm sure you can imagine them more light, more bright, more happy, more gentle, more nurturing as well, more healthy. You would also perhaps feel safer and more relaxed with them. And now we're gonna take a few deep breaths and we're gonna come to you. Okay, imagine the memory that still haunts you, like something you tried to work through, but it comes back. It comes back no matter from which point or angle you come at it. This memory keeps repeating itself and it holds you back. And I'm gonna again give some examples, or maybe I'm gonna explain this a little bit, as it was already perhaps clear on the example of my friend. There is this victim story, and underneath is the unmet need of the inner child, of the actual child that you were once a long time ago. And also it can happen that you didn't ever really feel like a child, which it even more shows that you need to do this work, because if you were like a little adult when you were a child, there are things that are actually missing from the stages of development, and then when you're an adult you miss some of these things. Like, for example, if you were growing up with emotionally immature parents and they didn't give you appreciation for your being, for the good job that you do, you have a hard time giving yourself praise. And even if you do things so amazingly and you are freaking the best, it's always something missing. Like, everyone can praise you around you, but for example, in my first business, I really went all in and I got so much praise for other people, from people in the town, from people on the internet, but it hurt me so deeply that my family members perceived me as some kind of failure and never spoke with me about my business, or it was like I'm always doing bad in business somehow, even though I was doing what I love and enjoying my life and traveling around Slovenia, selling my stuff and having a good time and actually living from doing eco-friendly accessories. But I deeply craved their praise, their recognition. So at some point I burned out, and also I lacked this, that I give myself praise, that I can say to myself, you're doing a good fucking job. You got this amazing business idea and you took action on it, and people responded and people bought your stuff, and you're making all these connections with people. Wow, what a good job. So imagine what would it be like for you if you actually praised yourself for the actions in your business, if you would give high five to your past self for all the actions. Like, high five to the past self. This is something a coach that I follow, that I'm in her programs right now, says, Marla Mattinson. And I love this because I totally need this to like praise myself for my business actions. Okay. So when the inner child didn't get that need met, it then turns into this victim consciousness through the time. So as I explained on the story of my friend, there were actual experiences that happened to her when she was a child that made her believe no one ever listens to me. And then that was repeating throughout her childhood, and this belief became even stronger, so strong that then even when people were listening to her, she didn't see it. And then it happens that other people perceive this as a victim consciousness, and we get judgy about it. And I was totally judgmental about this friend because I felt unseen with her, like, hey, I'm listening to you all the time. You say, no one ever listens to me? Like, am I no one? Anyway, so I'm sure that you understand this now. And if you want to go from this victim archetype, you need to find out what your inner child needs, find out what the part of you who actually was a victim, what does that part of you needs, and then you turn on your nurturing parent, like an archetype. I think it comes from transactional analysis, a nurturing parent, or you turn on like a healthy adult self as well, like you can turn on both of them. And then as you heal, this is gonna become like integrated, and it's gonna become your normal, and it's gonna be like then like this queen king consciousness I mentioned, like an example of being appreciated, like someone who knows they are being appreciated, someone who appreciates themselves, someone who values their work and they put it out there, and they know they are putting something valuable out there, and they know they're gonna attract people who are going to appreciate it and who are going to buy it and who are gonna be happy that they buy it, that they can receive this work. So let's tune into you right now and take a few deep breaths. And think of the memory that is still haunting you, or a belief, something that you're trying to solve, that you have tried to solve from different angles, but it's still coming back, and you're kind of sick of it still coming back. And let your subconscious mind come up with memories related to this, with memory or more memories. And look at what happened in this memory, how you were treated. And look at this from the perspective of adult, healthy, kind, nurturing person right now. what would you say to this younger version of you? What would you say to this younger version of you from this perspective, from the perspective of healthy, adult, kind, nurturing person? Perhaps in memory someone said something bad to you, or didn't say nothing at all when you needed it, or people abandoned you when you really needed them. And come up with things a healthy, nurturing, kind, loving adult would do, would say. And say it to this child, to this younger version of you. I'm gonna share some things that come up. And you can also pause me if you want. You're doing such a good job. Wow. That was amazing. Wow, this is a really good idea. I love the way you think. We cannot do this right now, but we will put it on a list and we're gonna do it some other time. I promise. You're such a good kid. I am so blessed to have you in my life. Wow, your performance was so good. I'm so proud of you. Aw, you're so kind. Your friends are lucky to have you. I love the way you showed up today. I love the way you expressed yourself. I love that you spoke up for yourself. You're brave, you're courageous. You have important things to say, and I'm so proud of you that you say them. What else can you say to yourself? Okay. How does that feel? You can write a comment below. And also, I know there are sometimes things where we feel like we really did make a mistake or that we really asked for too much. And ask yourself, what would you say to a friend or a child you would meet right now if they did something wrong or if they asked you for something? I read in a book from Gabor Mate, if it's pronounced this way, that so many adults in his practice speak about abuse, like physical abuse. They were beaten as children, and they speak about this abuse as though it was normal, as though they were bad children. But also when he asked them if they saw a child now being beaten, would they say to this child, you deserved it? And they all say no. So sometimes it's easier to imagine what would you say to some other child, because we can have so many bad feelings about ourselves internalized that we actually blame ourselves for the things. Oh, what I want to say about this as well is burnt food. This is analogy I came up with. If you were growing up in environment that was chaotic with emotionally immature parents, it is like they were preparing you burnt food. And no matter if they tried their best, and sometimes people say to you, like, your parents did your best, you should be grateful. And there's even, like, in Bible, this thing, fourth commandment, that you should respect your parents so that you can live well on this planet, on the earth. And to some degree, this is true, and it comes through healing that you realize, yes, your parents did your best, and you are grateful for the life, and you respect them because they went through a lot as well. And you can know all this, and that's at the same time you can acknowledge that on the emotional level they were preparing you burnt food, and you were eating this burnt food. It's not healthy, it's not good for you. And you can start preparing yourself healthy food that is not burnt. You can prepare this food for yourself now. And this, what we are going through in this training, is exactly that. You give to yourself what you needed back then. Of course, like in every family, every parent does the things that they regret or that are not so good. Like, we are all humans, but there is this thing that's called rupture and repair. Like, if something traumatic happens to the child, mother comes in and nurtures it, and then it's proven that the event is not then so dramatic, all the same, and the effect is not the same, it's not so long lasting. But if you are experiencing ruptures and no repair, that's gonna become traumatic for sure. And even if those traumas are little, it builds up, and then at some point you cannot really express yourself freely anymore. You are not feeling confident, you are not showing up for your life, you are not showing up for your business, you are afraid to go out and date people, you are afraid to call a friend and ask for a meeting, or you go through hard things and you're afraid to call other people because you don't want to burden them, etc., etc. So please come up with examples, like with healthy things that you would say to yourself and say to yourself. And if you need help, you can also write in comments your example, and I'm gonna come up with ideas, and maybe some other people in community gonna come up with ideas what could be more healthy things to say. For example, yes, this example is from my husband. Like, one of his core memories is that all his friends, when he was teenager, all his classmates got, how it's called in English, it's motorino, like not a real big bike, but a smaller one that teenagers can drive, but he didn't get it. And he is actually the guy who loves driving. He's totally in love with driving, with cars, with everything that has tires on. And he internalized this in a way that he never gets what he really wants. And this also then becomes kind of a victim story, that it can happen that he does not notice when he gets the things that he wants. Like, this is this program running in the back, I never get what I want. And we spoke about this, and I gave him like an example what his parents could say. Like, for example, they could say, oh yes, we see that you want this thing, and we're not gonna just buy it to you, but we're gonna do some things at home, and we're gonna open a bank account, and we're gonna give you money for doing these things, like on a monthly or weekly basis. And when you got enough money, you can buy yourself this brum brum thing. And imagine that, like, why I'm giving this example, because you may say, oh, but I cannot expect that people just give me things. Like, this is the example where he would actually be really happy, and he would also at the same time learn how to earn money, how to receive money for his work, and he would also get confidence through doing the work and through having a bank account and receiving money on it. And he would build up his savings patterns, his savings habit. It would be so good for him on so many levels. And then he would also get this thing for driving and he wouldn't have this bad memory. So try to come up with what would healthy, kind, loving, nurturing parents. I'm not saying permissive parents, but healthy, kind, mature, loving parents, what we say, what would do. And you can say these things to your inner child, your inner teenager, your inner young adult, and to yourself as you are right now. Okay, and if you need help with this, if you're a business person, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a visionary, if you're a scientist, if you are someone who wants to do amazing things in the world, who has amazing ideas, and you have already also have experiences, qualifications, you know, you are smart, you are big-hearted, you want to change the world for the better, I am the coach for you. If you're not fully going out there because your family baggage is holding you back. And there are links below. You can go on my website and sign up for one-on-one coaching, or you can find as well the mental fog remover tool for solving your problems through a one-page process. Check it out, it's amazing to get unstuck. Okay, thank you for watching. Bye bye.